Russia has begun drawing planes on tarmacs at air bases in an apparent attempt to keep Ukraine from being able to target them. Aerial footage from Engels airfield shows three silhouettes of Russian Tu-95 strategic bombers. Only two of them are actually fake. This one and this one. This is pretty clearly identified by looking at the third and seeing the shadows here. This video isn't to knock Russia for doing this. It's actually ultimately to examine something that hasn't really been talked about much in this war: denial and deception. There have been a few videos that have exposed some of both Russia and Ukraine's tactics of denying the enemy the ability to clearly identify valid targets. From Ukraine's use of wooden HIMARS and Leopard tanks to Russia's use of the inflatable tanks and the wacky wavy inflatable air defense system. You know, that's a funny name, not because it's a bad idea to use it. Again, I'll get there in a second. It's just typically suboptimal to do an interview in front of it. Now, one of the reasons we don't see more footage of inflatables and decoys being used is that ultimately, it burns the capability. Once the enemy sees and knows that they're decoys, it's effectively moot to have them. Just not going to shoot it with anything. They're going to leave it alone and they're going to focus elsewhere. Now, oftentimes decoys are used in a layered set of what are known as observables. A great example would be the 23rd Special Troops and the Ghost Army, World War II, or even Operation Fortitude South, where Allies layered visual and audio indicators of large formations at Pas-de-Calais to lead Hitler to believe that it was the location of the invasion. It was actually so effective, he refused to reorient reserve elements from Calais to support the actual invasion location even after it started. There was also Operation Fortitude North, which is a bit less talked about but just as effective, and overall Operation Fortitude or Quicksilver was a masterclass in military deception. Some of those same strategies can be seen on display here, though they're largely going to be a bit less effective. Many modern drones and weapon systems will use thermal or even infrared targeting capabilities that allow the munition to delineate between thermal known signatures for a designated target and its surroundings. One of Russia's recent denial attempts specific to this targeting type was using tires to break up the thermal signature. On the other hand, however, there's still quite a bit of visual targeting taking place from low to moderate resolution satellite imagery. In order to send the drone in the first place, typically you're just using another source of intelligence, hopefully corroborated with a second source. A human asset will tell you that it's there from a distance, and you'll use satellite imagery to confirm, for example. You're typically not going to target something based off of just single source information, which would ultimately render the drawings on the tarmac useless. Some of these inflatable models and wooden decoys are still going to pass off a good enough to warrant a strike. We've seen it happen. What's most interesting to me, however, especially when it comes to decoys, is that ultimately your adversary might not ever really know that they hit a decoy versus an actual operational system. It makes you wonder how many of the claimed destroyed systems that don't have associated video or imagery were decoys, and how many were actually operational. Hi, Editor Ronnie here. That guy's a dork, but you don't have to be a dork because you shop at Venture Surplus. Thanks very much to Venture Surplus for sponsoring this episode. They give us a code for you to use. It's right across the front of your screen here. And they have a rotational, really huge catalog of everything milsurp you could ask for, from the United States military to foreign militaries, everything from Tiger Stripe to that cool looking Rhodesian kind of camo stuff that's just super drippy. Anyway, go check them out. Thanks very much to Venture Surplus. Back to the dork. If you'd like to see more of these short episodes, please head over to YouTube if you're watching in the Funker 530 app and drop a like and a comment on the video. It helps us fight back against the algorithm not wanting you to see war. And that's what we do. Stay informed.